A patch! This is a game changer, y'all! Oh, yeah, they literally changed the game. I know it's very silly, but that's one of my favorite of the conversations in this game. Hello, lovely people of the world, once again here to you, and welcome back to Let's Play Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. In the previous episode, we began exploring Line D with these two levels. And today's episode, Spin Twin Mad Prop Station. Beware the rotating platform. Search for the grappling, so steady yourself and aim carefully with the charger. Alright, background details. We need to talk about them. So many floppy disks. Alright, so I have a fun story about floppy disks. I don't know how many of you watching this actually know what that is, and I'm gonna feel super old if I have to explain to people. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I'm even old enough to really be in the age group who use floppy disks, but my household growing up, when I was a kid, we were a little bit slow in catching up with modern technology. Like, we didn't get a DVD player for a long time, if you want to use that as an example. But floppy disks, I knew what the floppy disk was. But the funny thing about them was that we had a programming assignment in a 3D modeling class where one of the things that I had to work on was modeling a floppy disk. And at that point, I hadn't actually seen one for myself in like 10 years or something like that. So one of the people in that class brought in their floppy disks for me to use as a reference. And that was just really cool because the thing about floppy disks is that, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but they were a lot thinner than I think of whenever I think of a floppy disk. Like, whenever I think about them, I think of like this big, giant, bulky cartridge-like device, but no, it's just like a fairly thin device in all reality. But enough about floppy disks, because now we'll be going over this way! Yay! I really like this level in particular, with you using the splat charger to power the platform. I'm not a big fan of charger weapons, but this is definitely one of the more fun levels that make uses of this weapon. That probably wasn't grammatically correct, but who cares? Fire! Give it all you got! You fishy, fishy, fishy! You fishy! I got a surprise for you! It's called death! And let's go over here, activate that thing. If it was a little bit closer, that would have been nice. There we go. Marvelous. Please use the 8 balls to turn on the 7 switches. If you run out of ink, it's game over. And of course, losing one of the 8 balls means failure as well. On the bright side, there will be one ink refiller available for you to use, so do so wisely. Lastly, keep in mind that you can cancel a charge by diving into your ink. This one is pretty interesting. It's not difficult or anything like that. It's just one that I usually have either the best luck in the world or the worst luck in the world. It's never all that consistent. So, let's activate that thing. Hopefully it doesn't bump into the wall. Okay, there we go. So, that one in particular, that's the one that usually makes it or breaks it for me. Because either that one goes exactly the way that I want, or it goes in its own direction and has a mind of its own. So, that's a bit of a fun experience. Where am I going? I just like subconsciously started going this way without actually thinking about what I want to do next. So basically the mindset with this level, what you want to do is you want to have all these 8 balls fire into those platforms. Actually, I remember what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. Ah, now I fired something I didn't mean to. That's not pleasant at all. Right, activate that thing. And what do I want to do next? I think I want to do this. Okay. Let's go this way. Pick up the ink refill, and oh, that's lined up perfectly. Except there was a block right there, so I couldn't quite see that. But it's not that big of a deal. And there's one more left, so barely shooting this one should be enough to knock it closer. That was bad. That was really bad. Oh my goodness, we literally only have one more shot. And knowing my luck, this is gonna fail miserably. Okay, let's do this. Inhala, exhala. I don't know what that means. Yes! Haha! Test pass! Exclamation point! You know it's important when they add an exclamation point on there. I saw a thing that said that in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the North American version shows that it's Princess Peach's birthday that day, but in the European version, apparently they changed it so rather it being an exclamation point, they add 3 dots at the end. It's a bit weird. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode's portion of Octo Expansion, so now let's move on to the imaginary land of alternate save file. Whoosh! Welcome to the imaginary land of alternate save file. In today's episode, we're playing through Muscle Forge Fitness in Clam Blitz, which means it's going to be an awesome time because Clam Blitz is awesome! I love Clam Blitz so much. It's my favorite ranked battle mode ever. And it's kind of funny because when James and I are recording the footage for these matches, whenever we have to play Tower Control, I'm complaining the entire time, but whenever we play Clam Blitz, he's complaining the entire time. It kind of seems like neither of us have anything to complain about whenever we play spot zones, but none of that matters right now because we have some weapons to discuss in today's video. So, starting off, we have the E-Liter, the E-Liter Scope, and the Goo Tuber. Anybody who makes Splatoon videos online has to be called a GooTuber. Which means I'm a GooTuber now. Yay! But anyway, let's talk about the weapons themselves. So, we have the E-Liter. This is probably the most infamous Splat Charger weapon in the entirety of Splatoon. Because this is probably the strongest one ever. And what I mean by that is that it charges quickly. Kind of. But it's also very, very powerful, and was probably one of the most dangerous ones to come across in the first game. More specifically, on a stage called Muscle Forge Fitness. This is one of the very few stages from the original Splatoon that never actually made it in Splatoon 2. But in this stage, it's kind of like Walleye Warehouse in a way, except Muscle Forge Fitness was actually good. The thing about Muscle Forge Fitness was that there was this giant arena. You probably see footage of it on the corner of the screen or something like that. But there was a giant central arena with a pillar. And the thing is, the E-Liter in that game could shoot across the entirety of that central area. So it was a very powerful one to look out for, and that's kind of the big reason why, personally, I think Muscle Forge Fitness was a bigger sniper city than Mori Towers ever was. But that's just my personal opinion. I am biased. I love Mori Towers and all. It is my favorite stage in Splatoon. But if I were to compare it to anything in this game, I would say probably Walleye Warehouse would be the closest example. Closest comparison to Muscle Forge Fitness, but I don't actually know if an E-Liter can go across the entirety of that central arena. I've never actually seen an E-Liter on Walleye Warehouse that I can remember. But the E-Liters in this game are a little bit different, because none of the E-Liters from the original game actually returned in this one. In the original game, there were E-Liter 3Ks, but in this game, they're E-Liter 4Ks. I don't know what the big difference is between these, aside of the fact that E-Liter 4Ks now have a glowing spot on their weapon, so that the opponents can see them easier when they're charging. Because that was the big thing about E-Liters, is that because they had such huge range, it was kind of hard to predict when they were going to appear. So now they have a glowing spot so that your opponents can see them better from a distance. There are probably a few other things about the E-Liter that 4K that differentiate them from the 3K from the first game, and I'll probably have them on screen at some point in this video if I remember during editing. But the thing with, there are two versions of the E-Liter. There's the E-Liter 4K, which, by the way, that is false advertising because this game does not go to 4K. This game only goes to 1080p. How dare you false advertise that E-Liter? Gross. But yeah, E-Liter 4K comes with an Ink Mine and an Ink Storm. This is a deadly combination when it comes to snipers, because it's just not that nice. The E-Liter 4K is unlocked to level 20, and the custom E-Liter 4K comes with a Squid Beacon and a Bubble Blower unlocked to level 26. something like that. I misread my notes. It's level 26. This is also a pretty dangerous combination too, because a squid beacon and a sniper is a mean combination, because they can appear literally anywhere on the map, even if nobody else is there. And they can also serve as pretty evil bait, because your opponents are going to try to take out the squid beacon, and then you can hide somewhere around the corner and take them out. The actual leader itself is a slow range weapon, has heavy ink consumption, but it has one of the furthest ranges in the entire game. The E-Leader scope is pretty similar to the regular version, except this one has a scope, which means that you can't hold on to the charge while you're swimming around. But it also does a zooming in thingy when you're using it. I think that's what it means. I might be wrong about that. I never actually used an E-Leader scope, and I don't feel like recording footage for it during this Let's Play. But the E-Leader scope has, like I said, it has a scope. It has extra range and precision, but it cannot hold on to a charge while you're swimming. There are two versions of it, just like the regular E-Leader. There's an E-Leader 4K scope, which comes with an ink mine and an ink storm unlocked level 30, and a custom E-Leader 4K scope, which comes with a squid beacon and a bubble blower unlocked level 30 as well. It's very similar to the regular version, except it comes with a scope, so that's pretty nice. It really just a matter of, do you want to use a scope or not, to determine which one of those two E-Leaders you want to use during this game. Again, it's probably not a good idea to use a sniper weapon while you're still playing in Turf Wars in your early game, because the first couple ranks for this game really are based more on how much ink you're covering, how much turf you're covering in your ink, and a sniper weapon isn't going to get you very far in that department. Also, that strategy right there of James using the suction bomb launcher next to the football was like one of the most evil strategies that I've seen him do in this game. But it's a pretty good strategy, so who am I to judge? Next up, Inkblot Art Academy on Rainmaker. If I remember correctly, this is the last of the footage we need for this stage, at least until we get into Splatfest. And that might be the big reason why you're seeing a lot of repeat stages the past couple episodes, because I really am trying to finish off the last of the stages we haven't seen on these maps yet. If that makes any sense, because I am crazy and I do want to show off every single stage in every mode. But anyway, the final weapon we'll be talking about is the YouTuber. This one is a pretty interesting one. If I were to use a sniper weapon, this is probably the one that I would use, because this one can hold on to a charge for much longer than the other sniper weapons. It's probably not that great at fighting, but I've seen a lot of really good YouTubers users in this game, so it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. There are two versions, just like the E-Leaders. There's a regular YouTuber, which comes with a suction bomb and a splashdown, unlocked at level 22, and a custom YouTuber comes with a curling bomb and an inkjet, unlocked at level 28. So those are all the weapons we'll be talking about, and that was the last of the sniper weapons. That's pretty fun. In the next episode, we're gonna start talking about the best weapon ever. I'm so excited. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and until next time, Lady Gear to you. Oh yeah. Also, why does the Octoling girl have to look so adorable when she's sad when she loses with an Octo brush?